All right, there we go. All right, so session norms for this one. Please participate positively. Hopefully you're having a positive experience over yesterday and today, and hopefully it will continue. Please use the chat. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Would there be someone so kind as to keep a monitoring of the chat and just bring to my attention if I do miss any questions? I got multiple screens going here, so I may miss one of those. So if there is someone that would volunteer to keep an eye on the chat, I would greatly appreciate that. Also, just keep your audio muted so that there is no feedback or background noises that others would get distracted by. And this is a 1-hour session, so thank you, Kelly, I appreciate that. So this is a 1-hour session, so hopefully I will be able to cover everything that you are wanting to learn about it within this 1-hour session, but I will stay afterwards in case I'm not able to answer any of your questions. I don't have a session afterwards. If you do have any technical difficulties, just please carry on the best that you can. I know that Jen Rogers, she had her whole power was out for multiple hours this day. So again, you can't really do much about that, but just try the best that you can if you are experiencing any technical difficulties. All right, so the objective, how Edpuzzle works, create your own Edpuzzle, learn where you can incorporate these Edpuzzles into your lesson, and have it as a resource for students that are struggling, or if they are absent and you wish to have some for something for them to do to catch up. All right, so this is my basic agenda for the hour. I want to actually have you experience an Edpuzzle, just a short little Edpuzzle. What and why is it? Logging in. Now, those of you that have multiple monitors or multiple devices, you may be able to follow me in one and go into another screen into the Edpuzzle and kind of follow along there. So again, it depends on what your setup is at home. Once you log in, I want to show you where you can explore pre-made Edpuzzles, which I highly suggest you try to incorporate instead of you creating your own from scratch. There is lots and lots and lots of them that have been out there that you may be able to just edit. So that's the next thing is, once you find one, how do you go about editing that for your class, making it your own? And then when are you going to use it? And then I want to also leave you with some resources, because you're never going to get everything you want out of these sessions. So I want to make sure that you have that resource for you. Okay, so this is a little sample. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the chat, and because I'm sharing it in this way, you are not going to be able to get all of the features, as in it's not going to keep track of your score on my screen. So what I'm going to have you do is just spend, I think it's maybe about a 2 to 3 minute little Edpuzzle. So go about and click on it and go through the particular Edpuzzle. All right, so again, because I'm sharing it with you, the answers and the progress are not going to be saved. Okay. All right, so go ahead, and it's again 2-minute video, but then the questions and other pieces kind of slows that down. So I'm going to give you about 3 to 4 minutes just to explore what Edpuzzle is. And when you do finish that little sample Edpuzzle, go ahead and just put it done. I want to give you about 1-2 more minutes at most. All right, so it looks like the majority of you are just finishing up. So yeah, that is a experience of an Edpuzzle. It is some video that you can access from a variety of sources, and you embed your questions where you want them to be placed. And then what the benefit is with having it for the school is that you can keep track of your students' progress. Because I shared it with you as teachers and I don't have you in a class, I wouldn't be able to see exactly where you're at. But I'll show you from my classes what that does look like when you do assign it to your students, and you can see their progress and how they did. Okay, so that is basically a quick little Edpuzzle sample. Video, pauses, questions, various types of questions, and then it moves through to the end. Okay. Um, the benefit of this is it goes through you at your own pace. Again, if you are using this as a resource for when students are absent or they may be at home because they may be out of town for a certain reason, then you can actually use Edpuzzle to have them learn the material and have it accountable on your end to see, well, did they watch it? Did they answer the questions? How did they do on those questions? Okay. Now, some teachers use this a lot, and they will, for their department, one person may be very tech savvy and they would create the Edpuzzle, and you can share it with your little department so that others would be able to use the same Edpuzzle, so you don't have to each create your own. You can also be using YouTube for videos, as well as upload your own videos. I don't suggest doing the upload unless you got lots of time. There's lots and lots and lots of videos out there that may suit your need, so you may need to not have to do your own. I always search first to see if something's been made, and then I can always adjust it to my liking. Okay, so this is where I'm going to log in and I'm going to go through some of the features with you. If you're set up at wherever you happen to be at, if you do have another device or you have another screen, you may want to follow along in that way, or you can kind of just sit, and then when you do have time, you would be able to go through the process. It's not that complicated once you get over logging in and getting the system, getting used to what the system does. Okay, so I'm going to get out of this and then I'm going to go into my Edpuzzle. And what's nice is it knows by Google. You can log in via Google. All right, so I just go to edpuzzle.com. I go to log in. I am a teacher. And then there is one of the options that says sign in with Google. So I'm just going to sign in with my school's Google account. Okay, so then I get to my home screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some of the features first, and then I'll have a little time for you to kind of explore and just start looking for things that may benefit your particular class. Okay, so you'll notice on the left-hand side, these are the options for finding pre-made Edpuzzles. And I'm looking at the chat, and yeah, you can go through Clever if it happens to work for Clever. I just sometimes find it easier just to go to edpuzzle.com and log in through there. It doesn't matter which way you log in, just so long as Google is being used to go and access it. All right, so if I go to the Discover, you're going to notice that I have these various pop-down filters. So you can look for pre-made Edpuzzles by subject, by grade level, by country, and by source. Now, Edpuzzle Hosted, I usually trust with their videos. So that's why they only have Edpuzzle Hosted or YouTube. YouTube, you know, sometimes YouTube videos may not be the best. So it depends on if you have a really preference in that regard. Now, when you do log in and start finding some of these pre-made videos, you're going to notice it has a time for how long the video is. And it will also have, if you notice, it has this little, it looks like a little teardrop. This tells you how many questions that particular video has that someone created. All right, so in this case, this one has, it's a 6-minute, 33-second video, and it has 5 questions that someone already created. Now, you can always edit those questions. If you happen to look and you like when you watch it and go through it and you say, oh, that's a pretty good video, but I would like to adjust those questions, you can always do that at a later time. Okay. Now, if you want to search for something, you can always do a little search up at the top. So I teach coding and robotics. So I may want to search for something that is on my JavaScript language that I use. So I'm just going to put up in the top JavaScript as a search, and then you'll notice that I have a variety of videos that I can go and look at. And if you notice here, this is one that I've created from previous, and it's in one of the searchable ones that others can use. So again, you can use others and make it your own if that's what you want. Okay, so that is one way. Going to the Discover, type up at the top what subject or what topic is it that you're wanting to search for. All right, I suggest that's your first starting point. Don't try to upload a video unless it's very, very specific for your class content. Okay, so that's one way. Now, you'll also notice on the left-hand side that there is this Edpuzzle Originals. Now, these are high quality. This is teachers creating these videos and being vetted by Edpuzzle. It's broken up into the 4 core language or core subjects. And for example, math. It's then broken down into specifics. Now, this is lower grade levels. So if you happen to be upper grade levels, you may want to do a search up at the top for that and then narrow it down in that regard. But I just wanted to show you that you do have different subjects by Edpuzzle broken down into different categories. Okay. Now, once you start to find something that you're wanting to work with, then what you do is you can then start to edit that particular one to make it more appropriate for your class. All right, now before I start to go into the editing, is there any questions on searching for? So you can either use that top search bar, or you can do the filters down here to filter by specific subjects or grade levels. Okay. Now, if you happen to have a teacher that has created content, then it would be in your network area. Okay, so for example, I know that there is a social studies teacher here at Hardin that has created lots of Edpuzzles that can be utilized. So I'm going to go to my network, and you're going to notice that most of the schools in our district are here. So I'm just going to go to Hardin. And I actually know that Mr. Panzer has created multiple videos that he likes to use. All right, so it's broken down into various topics, and you'll notice that this particular one has 8 questions. And if you want to see what that looks like, you would click on it. You can then play that video, and you can go and see which ones, if that's something that you would like. Okay, so again, the questions can be edited. So it's the video that is what you're really looking for at first, is that video covering the topic that you want in the detail that you want. Okay, so again, that was going from the home screen, the Discover, and just searching for that topic. Okay. All right. So let's say that you find a video. So I'm going to just search my other part of my class is robotics. So I'm just going to type in robotics and see what comes up. All right, so here I have a variety of robots. So again, if I wanted to be very specific, I can give a little bit more detail here. All right, so here is something about programming a bump switch, an on-off button. All right, so I can go and click on this, and I can go and watch it. It looks like there's 4 multiple choice questions.
Okay, well.
So here, all I did was I clicked on that little button that got to the question, and here's this question. Now, if you want to just look at the questions by themselves, you can just skip to go to the next question, and then it just jumps. As a teacher, you're able to jump the video to the specific question.
Where digital 6 is.
Okay, so again, I'm just looking at the questions right now to see, is this something that I want to use or not? Okay, so let's say that that video is one that you like. Okay, so I can click on it. Now, this is where you would be able to start to edit that particular Edpuzzle for your students. Once I do the editing, what I can do is I'll show you how do I assign that to a student. All right, so up at the top, this is where you would do a copy. So you would copy the video and the questions, and then that would be where you can make it your own. Okay, so copy this. Now it asks you, well, where do you want to do with it? So right now, I'm going to go back to my home screen, and I'm going to go to my content. This is where it's going to be copied from. Okay, so here is that copy that I created. Okay, so I'm going to click on it, and this is where I can now edit this particular Edpuzzle. So I click on the edit, and you'll notice that you have your questions that were off to the side. You can scroll through till you get to that video. Let's say that this question you want to either adjust. There is this little pencil that will allow you to adjust that question. And the questions that you can use are actually three things that you can put within the video. You can have it as a multiple choice question. You can have it as a open-ended question, and you can have it as a note where you just pause the video and you make a note for that particular spot of that video. Okay, so if you want to do a multiple choice, you would put your distractors, and then you would put a little green check for the ones that you want to have as your answer. And you can have two questions, or I'm sorry, two answers, three answers, four answers, however many answer choices you want. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to change this multiple choice to an open-ended. So I just click on that open-ended selection, and you can then type in your question. Okay. Now, there is a new feature that allows the students to leave an audio response. So if you don't want them to type a response, you can actually have them use their Chromebook to do an audio response. So they would use the built-in microphone and they would record an answer. So Aaron, I believe you can have multiple questions that are correct. Okay, so then if you want to have an auto response, then you can select that, and then you can click save.
And Paul, there was one other question from Kathleen above Aaron.
Oh, okay. So once in your content, I press play. So what I did, so let me back up. So thank you, I appreciate that. So I am going back to my home screen. So I go to my content, and I scroll down to where I made that copy. So I click on it, and up at the top, there is the edit. So that's where I would edit the video and the questions if that's what I want to do. So if I click on edit, that gets me into the edit screen. Okay, so let me go to another one.
Okay, welcome back to part 2.
Okay, so here is a multiple choice question. I'm going to edit it, and I just selected both of them as the correct answer. So yes, I can have more than one correct answer. Okay, now you can also give feedback for incorrect or correct answers. So if you notice in the lower right of the answer screen, there is this feedback. So you can actually give them guidance if they, hey, you made a wrong answer. Did you think about this? Did you think about that? So you can actually give feedback for the if they happen to select that as an answer. Okay. All right. So I showed you how to go into editing it, then how you can go and edit the questions. Now, let's say that you didn't want a particular question. There is, when I go into this edit, next to the edit button, there is the delete. So if I wanted to actually delete that whole question.
Let's go ahead and say.
Okay. So let's say that I'm moving along. I want to add a question to this point right here. So I would go up to the question. My cursor for the video is in the spot that I want it to be placed. And then I can select, do I want to put a multiple choice question? Do I want to put it open-ended? Or do I want to put a note? Okay. All right. So if I want a note, I can click on a note, and you can add various things for the notes. You can add a link into there. You can add a photo. You can add text. You can do an audio note as well. So there's multiple things that you can just have as a note if that's what you want. If you want it to multiple choice, you can specify multiple choice. If you want it open-ended, you can do the open-end. Okay. So let's say that you have got your questions where you want it and you have everything set. Then what you do is you click on the finish up at the top. Okay, so if there's a question about when you did the copy. Okay, so let me go back. So you made a copy. It should have put down into my content. So you would go to my content, scroll down to where it is yours. So I clicked on this here, and it should have your name on it up at the top for the copy that you want to edit.
Yes, that's correct. It did that. It did that, but it also made multiple copies in the search results.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not quite sure which how you did about that, but all that you want to do is look for that video that you did a copy of and use the one that has your name on it. That would be the one that you would edit.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't, adding a bunch of junk to what everyone else
your
did.
content? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So let me go back to here. All right. So again, first thing I would do, search for a video that is appropriate, that's going to work for you. Once you find it, then what you want to do is you would want to make a copy. So if you do notice, it's kind of hard to see, and that's why I didn't really point out at the beginning. If you find a video, there's this little box at the lower right, and you click on it, you can then make a copy in that regard there. That's another way of making a copy. But I know it's difficult to see in there. Kathleen, in regard to your question about not allowing the students to answer, it may be because the time ended. When you create an Edpuzzle, you have a due date, and sometimes the Edpuzzle won't allow you to have the students complete it after the due date. So if that's the case, you can always extend the due date. Okay, so we made a copy. We edited that copy by going into the edit. The next thing that you would do is you would assign it to your students. So you can go a couple ways to do that. You can select it from yours, and you can assign it from here. So all I did was I clicked on it, and then it gave me multiple options, and that would be assign. That would be one way. Or you can click on it to get to yours, and then you can do assign. Okay, so since I'm here, I'll just use this assign. So I'm going to click on assign. Now this is where you would want to specify, well, who do you want this to go to? So I have my old classes still in here. So I'm just going to do it to like my demo class. So here you would do your demo class or whatever class you have. And this is where you would specify what options do you want. Now, if you're doing it for a day in advance, you can specify the start date and then due date. You do not need to have a due date. You don't need to have that. If you're worried that students are not going to get it done at a certain time, then you don't have to have it as a due date. I always prevent skipping. So skipping is where obviously they can bypass questions. I don't want them to do that. I also turn on closed captions just in case. So this is where they sometimes like to see the text if it's available for your video. And then if you also want, you can have it post on Google Classroom. So this would be where it would create it as an assignment on your Google Classroom. Okay, all right. So then once you do that, you can then assign, and it would then be posted for that class. Okay. Now, your classes, for you to get your Google Classroom classes into your Edpuzzle, what you would do is you would click on My Classes that's up on the left. There's a little plus for My Classes. And we are connecting to Google Classroom. And it may not be there. There may not be any new students there or new classes there. So again, this just happens to be what I have in my class, and it's old data. But when your Google Classrooms are there, then you would be able to connect your Google Classroom to your Edpuzzle. All right. So hopefully you are maybe playing around in another tab, just seeing what it's like. And I'm getting a couple questions in that regard. Jason, what's your question?
Yeah, I picked the video and I was trying to edit the video.
Okay.
There's a cut feature. Is there a way you can cut just a portion of the video out?
Yes.
Because when I drag it, it says, oh, it's going to erase all the questions, and it erased all the questions.
Right. Okay. So let me go to that sample video that I copied. Okay. So I'm going to go into my edit. Okay. Oh, since it already went into my one of my classes, I'm going to just choose another one. So once you assign it, it makes it very hard to edit it. So let me just see if that works. I'm just going to duplicate. Okay. All right. Going back to my content. Okay, so here's one that I edited. I took part of the name. Okay. So let's say that I need to cut maybe part of the video out. Okay, so I go to this part here.
Mm-hmm.
There is this add cut. Now, I would go to another segment, add cut, and notice that you now have this little piece in the middle. What you do to cut it out is I drag one of those little ends all the way until it goes to the other. And notice I have a little trash box. Now what that will do is that's going to delete that little cut that I did in the center of that video.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So let me kind of do that again. So I add a cut in one location. I scrolled to where I saw, oh, I just don't like that middle piece. I added another cut. And you can do that for any cut that you have with the video. Is what you do is you drag and drop it, and you can shrink it that way. Or if you don't want any of that to be there, then you can cut by dragging the two ends of it together, and you'll notice that there's that trash can that then makes that whole little video go away.
Perfect. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Again, once you do some editing, you always want to play the video from the beginning just so that you can see what it looks or what it sounds like, what it looks like with your cuts. It should jump to the cut, and you just want to kind of fine tune it before you do any assigning. Okay.
Paul, Kathleen had the question, the puzzle I want to use, she says ninth grade on the slide. Can I change the slides or edit the slides?
I'm not sure what slides means. So you should be able to edit if it's questions or if it's something on the video itself. You may want to cut that piece off if it's specific saying ninth grade. So again, Kathleen, that may be something that I need to work with you specific because I don't know exactly what you're seeing to see what it may be. But I'll gladly help you out in that regard. Okay, so I went over a lot with you. So I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit as well. So there is the when your Google Classrooms are connected, you would add your classes and connect your Google Classroom. Exploring pre-made, remember you would want to do that searching and then try to find one that is appropriate video and make a copy of it for you if you want to edit it. Make sure that when you do your assigning, you specify to the class and you have your start date, due date if you want. I always would have prevent the skipping, and I would also put on closed caption as well. Now, what would happen when a student actually goes about it? So I'm going to show you what the reports are for when the students watch it. Okay, so this is where I go to my classes to see, well, what did they do with it? How have they done? Okay, so here's one of my classes. So you can notice that I had 23 out of 29 complete this one video. 20 out of 28 completed this other video. All right, so if you want to look at what was it exactly, then you can see their results of the questions that they did. So here's someone that did 100 out of 100. They answered all the questions. Here's one that they did 83 out of 100. Now, if you want to see how they did specifically, you can click on it and you can look exactly which ones they got right and which ones they got wrong. Okay. So again, how I got to that is underneath on the left when I have my Google Classrooms added and you've assigned the Edpuzzle, then what you do is you would see that Edpuzzle visible here and you click on the title of that video and then it would show you how they did. And whenever I do this like as a little class activity, I'm always promoting, oh, so-and-so have gotten a B or above, like so many people have gotten a B or above. So you can actually see the results as they're doing it. Okay. And again, prevent skipping and turn on Google Classroom is what I would suggest for all the videos that you do assign.
Paul, Megan asks, can you change the language of the closed captions?
That is all dependent upon the video. So the video has its built-in closed caption, and that's what you're copying and utilizing. So yeah, you're kind of restricted to what is built into the video. Okay. Okay, so let me just see if there's anything that I missed. Okay, so I showed how you can, the different types of quizzes or questions that you can do. Okay, so here are some teacher suggestions from before. So they have had students do this as note-taking. So before they actually come in, it could be a little pre-video ahead of time is, all right, so ask some very quick questions, be prepared before you come into class. Video length, be very aware students will get turned off and bored if you have a very long video. So 10 to 15 minutes for high school, 8 to 10 minutes for middle school. You got to make it sweet and to the point. That's where finding the right video is really important. They can only handle so long of watching a video and answering the questions. All right. Some people have used this before quizzes. Again, this is just trying to help them before they come into your class. Again, this could be used for homework for students that are out of town or absent. They could be sitting in your room and you can send them to the Google Classroom once you posted it, and then they can follow and do that Edpuzzle as the others are working on whatever today's topics are. Now, there are resources. I know that there is 15 minutes left, but I want to make sure that you do have resources in case I'm not able to answer your question during the next 15 minutes time. Is you can go to this go.edpuzzle.com, and there's these online resources that have videos and documentations that goes over each of the steps in detail. Okay, so that would be available to you. Okay, so you have about 15 minutes. So I'm hoping that you're going to use this time to log in, if you haven't already done so, and just start playing around, searching, seeing if you can edit, getting used to doing that type of feature while you still have me online. So answering, what is the correct answer for an open-ended question sometimes? Okay. I don't know if there is or not. I don't think so, and I don't think you would want to have feedback with the correct answer for the students. Unless that's what you want to do, you can use the feedback with that answer. So let me just see if there is something for an open-ended.
Okay, well,
Okay.
And to kind of throw that in there, I would not want to put that in as feedback. But it's kind of like I was saying, sometimes I haven't watched that video in a year and I forgot what it said.
Yeah.
And I'd like to, it's kind of like I want to have my own note to myself of what the answer is supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, and it doesn't, it's only that one particular question. So yeah, there is no teacher note per se. Yeah, so that would be a good suggestion that I could make to them.
well,
All right. Okay. So again, you guys are playing for the next 10 minutes or so and asking me any specific questions. I'm going to put the eval in the chat as well, so that if you are good and you feel that you're ready for Edpuzzle, then feel free to kind of explore a little bit more and just fill out the eval. And I will stay here for a little bit more to answer any questions that you may have concerning it. Yeah, thank you, Kelly, as a suggestion. Yeah, just making a little document with it, but then just making sure you store that in a certain way as well. It could be, if you're going to use it in your assignment, like in your gradebook assignment, you may have that as a teacher note for you, because you can put information into your gradebook and you can put the answers to some of the questions there. That could be a suggestion as well. Again, make sure that you did sign in, and do make sure that you fill out the eval and you have a copy of the slides as well. Go ahead, Jason.
or one of my other the previous class I was in, I filled out the evaluation, and then when I was clicking through my tabs to you know, close all the stuff I was working on, I think I didn't hit the submit button. Is there a way to go back and do those other evals?
You should be able to, because I thought that they do save some of it, some of the information. Do you happen to have the resources from those sessions that would have the eval link?
I don't know if he had the eval link in the slides. He probably did. I know he posted it in the chat.
Okay. If you want to stay after, I have a master list of all the evals, and I can always find it for you.
Okay, I'll take a look right now.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right. So again, I'm hoping that you are playing around with it. I'm hoping that if you have any questions, feel free to answer the questions, but you've gotten the basics of it. So you should be able to create yours.
Can you please remind me of when we want to add new classes, if our students are already in classroom, we can just get which they're not, I don't think yet.
Yeah. All that you would do is you would go to this spot that says My Classes, click on the plus, connect, and then this would be where you would select the ones that you would want to import. And for some reason, I don't know why yours is in mine, but it may just be some old data. But this would be where you would do it.
I would just click on the class there and all the students would be
Yep.
added?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So it gets synced from Google Classroom. So as long as your Google Classroom is added, so like if I wanted to add this one, I would click on the class, and then you can specify the grade level if you want, and then it says import, and it would import that class with the students.
Okay, thanks for that reminder. That's right. Thank you.
Okay, and those of you that are still on, I appreciate your playing around. I'm hoping that you are. I don't have GoGuardian, so I can't check what's on your screen, but I'm assuming that you are playing around and testing it out and seeing if there's anything that you have that you need.
I found that eval. You're able to access it through your schedule.
Oh, good. Excellent.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, see you, Jason.
Have a good one.
You too. And thank you, Kelly, again for monitoring the chat. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Hey, Paul, this
Yes.
is Tim at the adult school.
Hey, Tim.
Any issues about copyright? So for example, if we're using clips from, let's say, some public thing like Disney or something like that, do we ever have anything pop up about that?
As long as you are grabbing, that comes up from here, from your search, then you are good to go. We do have that educational disclaimer that it is specific for the education. We are using it for not a resale or any of that stuff, but I haven't had any issues. I haven't heard of anyone having any issues with that.
Cool, great, thank you.
Yep. The one thing that I do caution is when you start to add content like uploading a video, this may be a little bit different, but if it's something that's discoverable through the service, the Edpuzzle search, then you're good.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, you are welcome. I appreciate your politeness and letting me know. And again, if there's a couple more minutes, if you do need any assistance with your Edpuzzle creation, that's what I'm here for. And again, Kathleen, if you are still online, and it doesn't look like she is, so.
Paul, would you mind if I used or we used the sample video just to show students how to use Edpuzzle, or is that something you want to keep for your classes?
Which the one that I created?
The cartoon?
Yeah, feel free. If
Just
you
as
have
an-
access to it, then use it.
Just as an introduction?
Uh-huh.
I like that.
Yes, it was something fun. Feel good, hopefully, at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Again, you guys are welcome. Bill, how you doing? Mr. Thompson.
I'm doing good. How are you, Paul? How's it going with the robotics and stuff?
It's good. I'm loving it, and this is, I think, now my 4th year doing it. So I think I know what I'm doing now. So that's always a plus.
Nice. I'm glad you're having fun with it. Hi, Kelly.
Thank you, Miss Rainey.
You're welcome. It seems less daunting than last year when I watched the Edpuzzle presentation. So I need to hear it multiple times. So thanks. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
All right, so I'm going to stop the recording. I don't think there's any more that is needed.